Hello, anime lovers, and welcome back to our Anime Huddle. And today we are going to be analyzing and giving our thoughts on episode 72 of Attack on Titan Children of the Forest. And it's very interesting how this episode turns out because we get callbacks from all the way the beginning of season 2 of Attack on Titan. Yeah, so basically, we finally get the explanation of what happened to Ragako village, in this case, Connie's village. We get an explanation of Zeke's powers. His spinal fluid was basically aerosolized so that whenever the people from that village breathed in that aerosol of Zeke's spinal fluid, he basically was able to, give his scream as we saw in the first episode of Attack on Titan season 4 and basically convert them into titans that he could command at will. It was great seeing this callback and finally being able to understand more of Zeke's power.
Yeah, all of this is just paying off. Yeah, we got an explanation that Zeke gave that if the Eldians were to breathe in his spinal fluid, they would get immobilized. And as you know, if you've seen the episode, this is important.
Yeah, and I guess we're gonna keep talking about that because this episode was just so great. And I'm gonna say it again. I know we say again and again that, this episode is great and this episode was just goated and, we had great emotional character moments. And it's just that like every single episode somehow manages to outdo the previous episode for some reason, but it's just very well directed. It was very well animated, and we had very great character moments. And I guess we can just start off by talking about the character moments in this episode. For example, one of the characters that I thought that they shined the most in this episode was Nicolo. Nicolo had an amazing character moment. You could say even a character arc in this episode.
Yeah, so the previous episode, we saw that the Browse family was invited to Nicolo's restaurant. So they get there, and they're ready to eat. And while they're eating, Nicolo is cooking food, and the scouts come. They say they want to talk to him. So he escorts them to another room because right now he's busy. He'll attend them later. And John and Connie, they see this wine, which we had seen in previous episodes, other soldiers drinking. Since they were from lower ranks, they weren't able to get that wine,
Right.
only higher ups. And they get excited. But Nicolo, he grabs the wine and says, "Don't touch that, you Eldian trash." Oh my god.
It almost got me a little bit mad when he said that.
Yeah, and John is like, "Hey, what the heck is wrong with you? Like, chill."
Like
But
after all this time, you still call us that? By this time, Nicolo had already spent enough time with the scouts to know that they weren't what the propaganda made them out to be. They weren't the devils of the earth. They were just regular people, such as him. So I don't know. This hurt a little bit, but at the same time, I was a little suspicious.
yeah, it was definitely too suspicious. So when Nicolo gets that wine, he just shrugs it off and walks back into the wine cellar. When he gets there, Ben and Mia, or Falco and Gabi, they follow him. They give the excuse that Falco's stomach hurts. So they follow him to the quote unquote restroom. They say, "Hey, we're Marleyan, what are they called? Volunteers?
Warriors.
Warriors, there you go. Marlene warriors. We suspect that Marley's gonna come back. They're gonna save us and everything." And Nicolo, this was just these random kids, and they're telling him all this stuff. So like, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. How did you even get here? So Gabi, she explains everything. The fact that they got on the blimp, the fact that she killed various Eldians, and the fact that she's not done. We're gonna get our sweet revenge, she says.
Yeah, and earlier during the episode, Kaya reveals that she thought that Sasha and Nicolo were lovers. Now, for me, that was basically a confirmation that Sasha and Nicolo were more than just friends, as I had previously mentioned. So I guess, Falco, remembering what Kaya had said, he realizes that Nicolo had feelings for Sasha. And now, Gavi just telling Nicolo, straight up, hey, I'm the one who killed your girlfriend. He realizes Nicolo wasn't going to react in a great manner because he wasn't being influenced under that Marleyan propaganda. So he's trying to get Gavi to stop. But Nicolo gets emotional and he asks, are you the ones who killed Sasha? And then he gets a wine bottle. And as he is about to swing, Falco pushes her out of the way and Nicolo breaks the wine bottle on Falco and he loses consciousness. I was like, dang,
Since it was wine, I didn't know if he was actually bleeding or just actual wine in his hair. You could not tell if it was blood or wine.
I
So
couldn't tell the difference, honestly.
I was concerned. I know Falco's a Marleyan, but he has grown on me.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's one of my favorite characters from the Marleyan side, if you will. And yeah, like seeing him in that state, I mean, so far the only thing he has been doing has been trying to protect Gavi from her, I guess, impulsive and brash decisions. So him actually getting hurt now because of that, like that hurt me. So after this, Niccolo being all distraught, he brings Falco and Gavi to the dining room and he tells the Bros family these warrior candidates are the ones that killed their daughter. And, he mentions that he is so upset because Sasha, as an Eldian, was the one that taught him his passion for bringing happiness to other people, regardless of their race, with his food. That's the reason that he was so angry at what Gavi had done. Sasha literally made Nicolo a better person. And so it is now up to the dad to decide the fate of Gavi.
And I mean, he takes the knife from Nicolo. And the rest of the scouts that came to talk to Nicolo, they come in as well. And they're like, hold up, drop the knife. But he goes ahead and gives this speech. A speech that is very well thought out. Maybe the character himself didn't think it out, but Isayama really did. He said Sasha had always been a hunter since she was little. After they left the forest, she went out into the world and she continued to hunt. She stayed too long in the forest, and that's what got her killed. Sasha's father doesn't blame Gabi. He understands that these things happen.
In fact, I think for me, it almost seemed like Sasha's dad basically forgives Gabi. He doesn't blame Gabi for Sasha's death, even though she was ultimately the one that pulled the trigger. I feel like he was just basically blaming the world for how he is. And that's why he mentions how the burden of the sins of the adults shouldn't be passed down to the children. It should be kept with the adults. Because we got to realize Gavi and Falco are still children. They're two kids. So why must this cycle of hate be passed on to children who are basically innocent? And that's what makes them take those brash decisions.
Yeah, and I mean, they can't even think for themselves. I mean, all this propaganda that was put into Gavi, she believes with all her heart that there is no other truth, that Eldians are the devil. Why? Because she was taught that since she was young. And because she was young, she still believes it. I mean, us, when we're kids, we all have our own customs. Especially when we're kids, everyone's parents teach them differently. And when we get to school, we see that other kids act differently. Like, whoa, I didn't know that. I didn't know you could do that. Because everyone is taught differently. But in this case, of course, it's in an extremist manner. But we see that Sasha's dad was the bigger man and he forgives.
Now, the one that didn't take the high road was Kaya. We saw a couple of episodes ago how She said that she wanted to be someone like Sasha, right? But as she realizes and as she learns that Gabi was the one that killed Sasha, she just goes on a rampage and actually tries to kill Gabi with a knife. Mikasa, of course, is able to stop her, but she just breaks down crying and yelling. It seems like Kaya was not going to forgive Gabi for what she did.
Yeah, so I mean, everyone's trying to calm down people because there was this huge uproar. So Armin and Mikasa, they take Gabi over there to a separate room to calm her down, and she just asks, "Aren't you gonna kill me? Don't you hate me?"
Armin said some very true words in this moment. Like you mentioned, Sasha tells Armin and Mikasa, "Hey, don't kill Falco. He didn't do anything wrong. Kill me." And he said, "No, I'm not gonna kill you." And Gabi says, "Well, don't you want to kill me?" And they both say no. Armin says, all you think about it's kill this, kill that. And it goes back to that idea that we have been talking about since the beginning. Everybody is tired of fighting wars, of people dying left and right. They want this cycle of killing and hate to end. So I think this was one of the things that kind of made Gabi's convictions to waver a little. While she was in the dining room, Gabi, she still kept on saying, how the Eldians were the spawn of the devil, and that, and at some point she even tells Niccolo, you're just under the influence of the Eldian, so speaking about Sasha, and you're a Marleyan, fight it. Don't fall into the trap of the spawn of the devil. I feel like this episode was the one that really hit Gabi the most. It started to make her conviction waver because there's another point where she mentions at the end when Sasha's dad basically forgives Gabi, where she asks, "Do you really not hate me?" Because all she has been taught by Marley has been that the Eldians are the spawn of the devil, and I think that implies that Eldians hate Marleyans and they want to kill them. So she is now realizing what Falco realized long ago, that they are just people like you and me, lived through different experiences, and that makes them have different personalities and different ways of acting. But in the end, they're just people.
Yeah, this definitely was an emotionally big episode. But we also get the reveal that the wine that was being served actually had Zeke's spinal fluid on it. Ever since they showed that wine, I knew there was something up with it.
Yeah,
I just knew.
And we saw other like higher ups in the military police drinking it. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, so that wine was intended for basically all the military, all the MPs, the high ranking officers, to be taken out and be controlled by Zeke. So Zeke is definitely in on this.
Yeah, and I think the one that actually was kind of like even more in on it was Yelena. It is revealed that Yelena was the one that put Niccolo up to the task to serve that wine to the higher ups. Now, Niccolo wasn't 100% aware, but the fact that Yelena really pushed this onto him, he became suspicious. And I mean, now the military police have drank this wine. I think we also saw people that were with Levi drink this wine. And we also saw like a little bit of wine fall into Falco's mouth. Although it's not really clear because we couldn't really tell the difference between the wine or blood.
Yeah, and the scouts, they were cleaning out his mouth, so we don't really know. So with all this commotion, Flock comes in with the rest of the Jaegerists, and they imprison or they capture Hanji and their other scouts, at least the ones that are not Mikasa, Gabi, and Armin. Flock and the Jaegerists knew about this all along. They said, no, we're not going to negotiate with the military. just tell us where Zeke is. This was all Eden's idea.
Yeah. Like I said, there were bombshells of information thrown at us in this episode, and it was great.
And then I just love how casually Eren enters a room where Mikasa, Armin, and Gabi are. Like, Armin's just giving this speech, like, yeah, no, I don't know, just you gotta do the greater good or whatever. And he just comes in like it's nothing. Oh my god.
He walked in almost exactly as how he did, like with Reiner in the episode where it was the declaration of war. He just shows his cut, meaning that he could transform into a Titan whenever he wants to. And I don't know, he looked rather threatening.
Oh, definitely. And I think this is the worst group have to talk to Eren. The only reasonable person is Armin. One, we have Gabi, who hates Eren Yeager. We've all heard that phrase, Eren.
Yeah.
And Mikasa is just an Eren simp. Like, dude, get over yourself.
Yeah, for reals.
Yeah, so Mikasa's not the one to talk to Eren. We have seen how Eren just is now disregarding Mikasa whatsoever. I mean, we saw it when he attacked Marley. Mikasa says, hey, you killed a bunch of innocent people. And he just shrugs it off. So I think Armin is the only one in this table that can reason with Eren or not be tricked by what he's trying to tell them.
That is true. And I mean, I honestly wonder, like, okay, like what does he want to talk to with Armin and Mikasa that he has to basically threaten them to sit down? And I guess we're gonna see what happens in the next episode. We also got a little Levi character moment, as there are some soldiers that reveal to him that the Jaegerist basically took over some of the military people. He starts pondering because he also knows now that Eren is part of the Jaegerists. He starts pondering over whether saving Eren time after time and having Eren be the beacon of hope for humanity was the right thing to do. Because so many people died throughout this whole series, they have just been saving Eren time and time again, and all the people that have died has been because they have tried to save Eren. So I don't know. I feel like Levi maybe has some sort of regret, but
yeah, I think he is giving up on Eren. I think when the time comes, he will strike him down if he has to.
I think so too. I mean, Levi is ready to strike anyone down. I mean, we have seen how he has like just shot daggers at Zeke, just looking at him and glaring at him. It's yeah, he's just ready to strike anyone down. But I guess we will know the answers as to what happens to Levi and the soldiers and what happens to Eren and Mikasa, what they talk about in the next episode of Attack on Titan, episode 73, Savagery.
If you like this episode of Anime Huddle, don't forget to follow us on social media. Link is in the description. And like, share, subscribe. And if you are so kind, leave a review or your thoughts of what you thought about the episode.